Welcome into the In the Money podcast for Saturday, June 8th at Belmont Park. Belmont Stakes Day headlines a card that is full of graded stakes races. We're going to take a look at the 7 Grade 1s. I'm Tom Leach, along with Jim Goodman, Keeneland's Director of Wagering Development. There are 8 Grade 1 races on the Saturday card at Belmont, so we'll jump in to the first one. It's the Grade 1 Just a Game, a mile on the turf. Rushing Fall is going to be the big favorite in there. You're going to try to beat Rushing Fall.
Well, I think you're going to look at this race. I mean, especially the early part of the card on Saturday. You've got a few short fields and a few really strong favorites. So if you have a couple of opinions, it's good to single and then go deep in the others. They've got pick 4s and pick 5s all day long. They got early pick 5s starting with race 1 that ends with two Grade 1s. So that's a nice. You might get some prices in the early races. I think Rushing Fall here is probably going to be 4 to 5, 3 to 5. I'm not going to bet against her. I've only questioned her one time, and that was at Saratoga and Lake Placid on a soft turf, and she won there. She won to Jenny Wiley after having not a great trip. I just think she's the best filly, the best turf filly in the country, and I wouldn't go against her here. I think Beau Recall is interesting. All those horses that came out of the Distaff Turf mile at Churchill on Derby Day are interesting. Beau Recall, Got Stormy, and Daddy is a Legend. Those 3 could come back. I just don't think this sets up well for somebody coming from way out of it like Beau Recall does. I think Rushing Fall is going to control the pace. I think she's going to go the lead, and she's going to run as hard as she needs to, and I think she's going to win. So I don't think there's much mystery in this race unless you catch a price behind her, and I would certainly single her in any pick 4s or pick 5s that I play.
I'm going to try to beat her, probably foolish. Got Stormy. I think 1 mile is certainly her best distance, and she's in peak form, and so if she's ever going to beat her, this would be the time, I would think, because she's at the top of her game at her best distance. And when she's run against Rushing Fall before, she certainly hadn't been disgraced. So trying to beat the favorite is basically what I'm doing, looking for a little bit of a price. Otherwise, it's got to have Rushing Fall on the tickets. Beau Recall, although I thought the circumstances were most favorable for that one to get up and win, which she did at Churchill. There was a horse that didn't fire at Churchill, Environs from Chad Brown's barn, that I think has, if there's a price play that gets into the mix, I'm going to say it could be her. So keep an eye on Environs, but I'm going to lean to Got Stormy for a slight upset in the Just a Game. 5th race is the Ogden Phipps, and looks like a 2-horse race. It's a small field. They go a mile and 16th. I'm going to take Midnight Bisou just on the class edge, and she's won on this track. Come Dancing at a huge 114 buyer 2 starts back, so anything close to that would make her tough to beat. Can't see anybody but those 2, and I'm going to lean to Midnight Bisou. How about you?
I am too. Come Dancing's 2 wins at Belmont have both come on sloppy tracks. So right now they're calling for decent weather at Belmont on Saturday. So on a fast track, Midnight Bisou's taking her racetrack. She takes her race with her no matter where she goes. So she's running well at Parks, at Churchill, at Sam Houston, at Oaklawn. So I think and Santa Anita where she started. So I think she's certainly the real deal. It's a 2-horse race. It's not a very, you can see a 5-horse field in a Grade 1 $700,000 race, but they scared a lot of people off. So 1, 2, just flip a coin or whichever one you want to take. I would take Midnight Bisou as well.
6th race is the Grade 1 Jaay, 6 furlongs on the turf, so it's a little longer than what we normally see for turf sprints. And I think that's where a horse that I'm going to take has a shot. World of Troubles, obviously, the clear-cut favorite in here. Disco Partner loves this track, but those 2 are going to get pounded. And there's a horse that I think likes Belmont, likes the additional distance, and is making the second start off a layoff and was running well at the finish last time behind World of Trouble, and that's undrafted. So I'm going to try to get undrafted in there on top or at least second at a little bit of a price and try to at least split the favorites, and maybe he could get up and win. He's 9 years old, but I like the way he finished last time in his first start off a layoff, and he gets the 6 furlongs, which he, I think, needs for his best. So I'm going to try Wesley Ward and undrafted for an upset here. Who do you like in the Jaay? Can you beat World of Trouble?
Well, I like World of Trouble. I think if you're looking for a price, my price horse would be Belvoir Bay, the Peter Miller barn coming from Santa Anita. But this horse has run well on the East Coast as well. Ran really well in the Buffalo Trace at Keeneland last fall. Almost won that race, got beat by Chanteline. And then she came back and won at Santa Anita, a couple of races there, and they shipped her over to Dubai. She finished second in the Al Kuaz sprint to Blue Point. So Belvoir Bay, to me, has a lot of back class. Peter Miller's been struggling lately, but I think if anybody's going to beat World of Trouble, it might be her. World of Trouble at the distance has only gone this distance one time, and that's at Belmont on a good track. She won by 5 3/4. So she didn't have any problem with that, and Manny Franco suits her well. So I think she's a big favorite in here, but Belvoir Bay would be my shot at a little bit of a price.
Seventh race gets us to the Grade 1 Acorn at a mile for 3-year-old fillies. The Kentucky Oaks winners in here. That's Serengeti Empress from the Tom Amos barn. You've got a Chad Brown second-timer that was incredibly impressive first time out, Guarana. So where did you land in the Acorn, Jim?
I went back and watched that race at Keeneland, and I remember it very well that day. She just blew them away and ran 1:10 6 furlongs, and probably could have run it in about 1:08 and 4 if she wanted to. Is she good enough to beat Serengeti Empress, who's got 8 races under her belt with 5 wins in the Kentucky Oaks? Probably not. And I can't believe that the morning line odds guy, whoever did this at Belmont, I guess it's David, made Guarana a 2-1 favorite over the Oaks champion. That makes no sense to me. But maybe those speed figures got him going, and maybe Chad Brown just they think anything Chad Brown puts out. If she's that good, more power to her. But I would take Serengeti Empress at 5-2 over Guarana at 2-1. What about you?
I'm going to try to beat Serengeti Empress. I agree exactly with what you're saying. I think there's a huge class and experience edge for Serengeti Empress. So if I'm going to try to beat her, I'm going to try to beat her with somebody more than 2-1. And it's going to be a horse on the outside, CC, who's a neck away from being 2 for 2. So she got one more start than Guarana. And McCarthy's good on the stretch out angle, and Espinoza not in to ride the Belmont, so he's in to ride this one, I would assume. And I think she might have a shot if she could be that good. The horse that she beat first time out came back to win. So I'm going to try CC. If I'm going to try to beat Serengeti Empress, I'm going to get more than 9-5 or 2-1 to do it. So CC for me, but I'll use Serengeti Empress and Guarana on multi-race wagers. Woody Stevens is the 8th race at 7 furlongs, and I went to Complexity in here. A 90 buyer in the Saratoga debut last year was impressive. 3 bullet works out of 5 in the last month, so that's a strong work pattern for this horse from the Chad Brown barn. I think this is a well-matched group. I don't think there's a cinch in here, so I'm going to try Complexity. Nitrous, I think, has got a big shot for Asmussen. Mind Control, certainly I think probably has the class edge on these. Honest Mischief is a really nice horse down on the inside, so I'm going to take a look at all 4 of those. But Complexity is the win pick for me in the Woody Stevens. How about you?
I'm going to take Mind Control. I thought that Bayshore was very impressive. Sets him up very well for this. 7 furlongs, 2 for 2 at the distance, and the other 7 furlong win was at Saratoga in the Hopeful last year's 2-year-old, and very strong race there. Didn't run well in Breeders' Cup Juvenile at Churchill, but just had a terrible start and just was never in it. Has run well since then, and I like to buy her progression. The 3 races in 2019 have been 89, 93, and 97. So if he just steps up just a touch over that, he's going to win this race. Complexity will be my second choice. He tossed the Breeders' Cup Juvenile last year. He just got bumped at the start and just gave it up. Hadn't been out since then. So I'm thinking that Complexity might need a race here. And that's one reason I went with Mind Control over those 3 races to get him in just top condition. He's running better than he ever has. Honest Mischief has a shot for Chad Brown. My long shot would be Lexitonian. The horse doesn't match up in speed figures, but it's a pretty impressive win in the Chick Lang last time out. That maybe he didn't beat very much there, but that was a very impressive off the pace win. Stuck in the 1 hole, but still got outside and overtook the leader. So Lexitonian would be my wild card in here. But and Landeskos is the other horse. Landeskog, I'm sorry, for Doug O'Neill. He doesn't ship him cross country for nothing. This horse went to Oaklawn and won easily his first time out. Ran right behind Nitrous, the horse that you picked, and I think it's got a lot of upside. I'm going to go deep when we get to the pick 4, but I think Mind Control is my pick.
Let's move on to the Met Mile, the 9th race, Grade 1. And what a loaded field this is. I saw a quote from Steve Asmussen who said some really good horses are going to be up the track in this race. So tell me how you see the Met Mile, Jim.
Yeah, I thought this is the feature race. I mean, obviously Belmont's got the bigger name, but this is the best betting race on the card. My toll is going to be my pick. Speedster just keeps getting better and better. And the Churchill race, the Churchill Downs Grade 1 race on May 4th on Derby Day, where he beat Promises Fulfilled just like a drum. No contest. He didn't get to the lead like he usually does, but it didn't matter. He got the lead top of the stretch and just pulled away, 106 buyer. He's got the last 5 races, he's ranged between 103 and 108. McKenzie's my second choice, and McKenzie's got maybe a class advantage on my toll with some Grade 1 second in the Santa Anita Handicap, and then came back and won the Ali Sheba on Oaks Day. So those two are probably like the likely winners, but I'm also going to go deep when it goes to pick 4. In Thunder Snow, I'm not going to let a horse that's won $16 million beat me out of a pick 4. And although this is probably not his best distance, he's proven that he can do a little bit of everything. He's running a mile before. He's running a mile on the turf. He's running a mile and a quarter. He's won the Dubai World Cup twice. So I'm going to keep Thunder Snow in there as well. Firenze Fire, I dismissed him in the Run Happy last time out. He just blew him away and looked really good. He's back to his old form, and this will be his third start off a layoff. And he ran his best race ever at this distance on this track in the Dwyer in 2018. So got an outside draw that day from the 7-hole. I think it fits just as well here, and I think he's going to be right there. Prince Lucky's got a shot for Pletcher. You can't really throw out very many of them here. So my toll is going to be my pick, but Cold Front's the other one that I left off, coming back from a Godolphin mile win. So that horse is certainly fit. A lot of ways to go here, and I would not blame anybody if they took all of the pick 4.
Took McKenzie here. His one-turn sprint races are all outstanding. Got a 109 buyer last time, won just very easily. And it's Bob Baffert, who doesn't have a Belmont horse, so this is his big shot on Belmont Stakes Day, and we've seen him do quite well in that situation before. So McKenzie for me. I like Thunder Snow next, actually. All the reports I'm seeing, he looks sensational. And I like a horse cutting back from a longer race. Firenze Fire, my toll, I'll have on my ticket. And the other bomber that I'm throwing in is Pavel. Doug O'Neill can drop in and hit at a big number. Did with this horse in the Stephen Foster last year. I think he ran off a sprint win in his debut. They put him in the Jim Dandy, and he nearly won it as a 3-year-old. So they clearly had a high opinion of him from the start. And he's had flashes, but it's never quite broken through. This would certainly be a big breakthrough here. So I'm just going to throw him in there. He's 20-1 on the morning line, and he would blow up the multi-races if he could get there. I think he's probably a better candidate to maybe hit the board, but I am going to have him on my ticket just in case. 10th race is the Grade 1 Manhattan at 1.25 miles on the turf. Bricks and Mortars, looks like a cinch on form. I'm going to try to beat him with Curbon, who nearly upset him last time. I'm not sure if the inside and the stretch was maybe the best place to be, and Curbon was breaking from the inside. You get a little value with him. Got a career best buyer figure last time, and kind of looks like they thought he was maybe a mile to 1 1/16 horse, and I think they've maybe figured out that he's better going longer. So 1.25 miles might even move him up. So I'm going to try to beat Bricks and Mortar with Curbon, and just going to use those two when we get to the pick 4. If you want to go deeper, the other Chad Browns, Olympico and Raging Bull, you could make a case. I think Raging Bull's better than he ran last time, but I'm just going to go with those two when we get to the pick 4. How do you see the Manhattan?
I'm right with you on those two, and I thought Curbon ran a winning race last time, and Bricks and Mortar just figures out a way to win. His races, that one in particular on Derby Day, the Turf Classic, I thought it was beat, and I had him singled in a pick 4, and I almost gave up on him. I thought Curbon was going to get there, and I had Curbon in Bricks and Mortar box in the exacta, so I did hit the exacta a little bit, but at 6-5 that day versus Curbon's 13-1, I'd been better off if it had been the other way. And But bricks and mortar just wins. I mean, he doesn't win. He doesn't blow people away. He just, Ortiz fits him, and he's just really tough. And I'd be foolish to go against him here. I think Turbine does have a chance if the 1.25 miles really suits him better. The other one that I would throw in there at a price, a little bit of a price, is Channel Maker. I never discount Rosario in a big race, and Channel Maker ran really big in the Man of War at 1 mile 3/8. So I think the 1.25 miles fits him well, and he's really good right now. If he gets back to he ran a 103 and a 108 last summer on at Belmont in the September last year. He ran a 108. So if he gets back to that, he's right there too. So he's not been able to beat bricks and mortar, but he could sneak up on his best day.
One other one, I was just looking at the form again. If you want to go deeper in a multi-race, Robert Bruce got to be better than that debut in 2019. And you'll get an inflated price probably on that one, who on his best day, has beaten some really good horses, including in the Arlington Million. So might be another one to just consider in there. But I'm just going to go with the 2, like I said, in the Manhattan for my multi-race. The 11th race is the Grade 1 Belmont at 1.5 miles, once around at Belmont Park. You got the 2 favorites out on the outside, War of Will in the 9-hole, Tacitus in the 10-hole. How do you see it?
Well, you and I both handicapped the Preakness pretty well. We've been better off if that long shot hadn't run second. So I'm going to toss Everfast right off the bat. So I'm not going to win any money if he runs that kind of race again. Everything was perfect for him that day. He came from 22 lengths out of it up the rail, and if he runs that race again, I won't cash a ticket. But so I'm going to toss him. I'm going to toss Master Fencer, who hasn't been working very well at the track. The ones who intrigue me a little bit, other than the 2 obvious, War of Will and Tacitus, are Bourbon War. Going to take the blinkers off. Didn't run well in Preakness at all, and I expected him to run well. And I don't know what happened that day. It's either he's a little bit over the top, or something went wrong in his training. But he's better than what he showed that day. The other horse that I think has a shot getting the money at a decent price is Spinoff. Nobody's talking about him. I think he was completely marooned out there in the 17 hole in the Derby, and you saw the start with from the auxiliary gate. Some of them went left and some of them went right. And he was just never in the race. I don't think he was persevered with. He was dismissed at 52-1, and all you got to do is go back to the Louisiana Derby, and he beat War of Will. Beat him substantially that day, and only got beat by 3/4 lengths for the whole thing. So I think Spinoff has got some talent there that might get overlooked in the wagering, and that's going to be my long shot special. And I'm going to include him in my pick 4. But War of Will is my pick. I think Tacitus ran okay in the Derby, but War of Will proved in the Preakness that if he had not gotten interfered with in the Kentucky Derby, you might be sitting looking at a chance for Triple Crown right now. I think he's gotten that good. Cassie's got him to that level right now, and if he can get the 1.5 miles, nobody knows whether any of these horses can. But if he can get the 1.5 miles, I think he's going to be right there at the finish. So War of Will over Tacitus, over Spinoff, and Bourbon War for my superfecta.
I'm going to take a swing at a price in here, and it's War of Will's stablemate, Sir Winston. I interviewed Mark Cassie prior to the Bluegrass Stakes about this horse and another one they had in the Bluegrass. And I remember him telling me he thought this horse was a Belmont horse. And Tracy Farmer's the owner, and I think he's not the type of owner that just is in all these races just for fun. So I think they believe they've got a serious chance on the pedigree angle. The running style's not the type that normally wins the Belmont, coming from way out of it. But this horse ran a 100 buyer last time in finishing second in the Peter Pan at 1 mile and an 1/8. Now, it could be that ultimately he's just turns out to be a great one-turn closing sprinter, but I think the pedigree says he should love 1.5 miles. I think putting Rosario on him was a great move for a horse that is a strong finisher. So Rosario rides back, turning down a repeat ride on Everfast to stay with this horse. And because of that running style, I think he's 12-1 line is going to go up. So only triple-digit buyer figure in the race. One of the few for a 3-year-old this year. So I'm going to take him on those angles for a really good price. use him with the two favorites, Tacitus and his stablemate War of Will. I think you make an interesting point on spinoff because Pletcher's horses have historically done well, especially in the last 10 to 12 years in the Belmont. And I think Intrepid Heart's going to be the one that gets the most buzz, and he's very lightly raced. And I think spinoff might be the better shot of the two. I think he could be up close to it, which is usually the preferred style in the Belmont. So certainly could not fault you or anybody that wants to throw him on the ticket too. But I'm going to go with Sir Winston for my win pick in the Belmont. So let's talk about a pick 4 that starts in the 8th race. What's your ticket look like?
All right, I didn't have a single. I'm going to spend a little more because it's Belmont Day, so my ticket's going to be $112.50, and you can cut back a little bit there if you really like the turf horse bricks and mortar. That I went 3 deep there. If you want to single him, it's a very affordable ticket. So in the 8th race of Woody Stevens, I went 5 deep with a 1, 4, 5, 9, 10. That's Honest Mischief, Complexity, Landeskog, Mind Control, and Lexingtonian. Mind Control would be my win pick there. In the 9th race, I went, how deep did I go? 1, 2, 3, 4, 7. Cold Front, McKenzie, Maito, Thunder Snow, and the 7 horse is Firenze Fire. So 5 deep there. And I went 3 deep in the Manhattan with the 4, 8, 10. That's Kurbon and Bricks and Mortar, and the 10 horse is Channel Maker. And then in the Belmont, I went 6, 9, 10 with 2 favorites on the outside, plus the 6 horse spinoff, the 9 and 10 are War of Will and Tacitus. So 1, 4, 5, 9, 10 with 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 with 4, 8, 10 with 6, 9, 10 for 112.50. And when you get through with your pick 4, we'll talk about a pick 6. I'm going to make the pick 6 very affordable using my horses on Belmont Day.
My ticket is very similar to yours, just a few different numbers. I'm going 5 by 5 by 2 by 3. 1, 4, 6, 9, 11 in the first leg. Wendell Fong, I'm going to throw in there. I didn't mention him when we talked about the Woody Stevens, but improved a bunch last time for Englehart, and off that improvement, I'm going to throw him on the ticket too. 2, 3, 4, 7, 8 in the Met Mile, all the ones that I talked about. 4 and 8 in the Manhattan, Kiermont and Bricks and Mortar, and then 7, 9, 10 in the Belmont. That's a $75 ticket. If you want to add spinoff in the Belmont, you could bump the ticket up to $100 there. So that's how mine looks. Now, the pick 6 that you're talking about, it's a 20-cent pick 6 that covers Friday and Saturday. So what's your way to play it inexpensively?
Yeah, I think if you look at the Friday races, the first race of the sequence is the True North. It's the 8th race Belmont, and one of my favorite horses in the world is running there, Whitmore. And I would single Whitmore in that race. You've got some other horses in there. Strike Power is going to be tough. Maybe Catalina Cruiser if he's back on his form, but I'm going to take Whitmore there. He's 6.5 furlongs. They skipped the Met Mile for this spot, and I think he's really well suited there. And then I have a similar feeling about Arklow. The Belmont Gold Cup Invitational is the 10th race, and Arklow is the 6th horse. And I thought that race that he ran at Belmont on the Man of War when he almost beat Channel Maker was just very impressive. He comes into this race really in good form for Brad Cox, and Giroux's riding him. So I'm going to do 2 singles in the pick 6. So I'm either going to be really in with a real good shot after Friday, or I'm going to be out. And the 20-cent minimum makes it very affordable. If you single those 2 and put them together with my pick 4 ticket, you can do a 20-cent pick 6 for $45. So you do 7 with 6 with 1, 4, 5, 9, 10 with 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 with 4, 8, 10 with 6, 9, 10. And using the strategy that I use in singling Whitmore and Arklow, if you want to go deeper on the tickets on Saturday, I was talking to Greg over at Churchill. They did over $500,000 in their 2-day pick 6 on Oaks and Derby Day. So I expect this to be a $500,000 pool. Interesting play. I really like the idea of a 2-day pick 6. It makes it very interesting if you're alive going into the last day.
Best of luck with your wagers on the Saturday card up at Belmont, or maybe Thursday and Friday if you're playing those days. A lot of great racing up there this weekend, and other spots around the country. So if you can't get out for simulcasting, keep your Keeneland Select account fully funded. You can put your feet up, watch all the coverage of the races, and find a good overlay. You can play it through your Keeneland Select account. So good luck this weekend. We'll be back next week for another edition of the In the Money podcast.